Hello guys, welcome back to my 7th Julia video in the introduction to Julia series. In this video we'll be talking about numbers. So before I get started, in the last few videos some of my friends messaged me personally saying that I was talking way too fast in the series and that so sorry guys, I wanted to make this video as clear as possible, and so that is one thing about me. I normally know that I talk a little bit faster, so I will try to make my words audible and also clear, and also talk in a way that doesn't get you guys confused. So let's get started. So in the last video, if you can remember, I said that we'll be talking about functions, but I realized that that was something that was not yet to come now, because I think it will be coming in the next 2 or 3 videos too, because in the next video we may be talking about strings, and then now we get deeper into coding and we start talking about functions, because as of now I want you to know everything about types and such things in Julia, so that as we go to functions you know everything. It will be just knowing how to automate things. So guys, so in this video we'll be talking about numbers, and numbers can always be in two types broadly, but always they are not two types. As you can see, we have integers and floats. So integers are always something like whole numbers, and they are always, again, depending on the size, they are grouped according to bits it accepts. So we have unsigned integers and signed integers. Again, that is broad classification of integers. And then as you also group integers, you also have unsigned integer 8 or integer 8, and then you have unsigned integer 16 all the way to 128. So that is it about integers. And unsigned integers always starts from 0 and up until you see these largest numbers. It's 2 power 127, obviously, because it's 128 minus 1. That is it about unsigned integers. And then for integers, it's always 120. The largest is 128 minus 2, which is like it's always like one. Just know that if it's into 128, it's into the largest is always into 128 minus 2, or 127 minus 1. The way you need to know is this way, but the easiest way to understand is by subtracting 2. And then the smallest is always, for unsigned integers, is 0, and then for integers is always minus 128. So you can always know the expected largest type by that will mean now that I have to take over to Julia. So let's see that. So there are functions in Julia which can help you. So I think talking about numbers can be a pretty long video, and so I will just try to make it simple, and then I will, in the description, I will add link to the documentation so that you can go and check them out, because it's a really large topic if you want to be dealing with precisions in future. But if you just need basic programming, then precision is not that important. So but if you need precision for the types, data types, then I'll leave the description in the video. But as of now, you can always check the type of numbers. You remember, it's type of, it's not only for numbers, it's for anything. Type of 1, which is giving you integer 64, because I'm using a 64-bit system. I hope you still remember that. If it's 32, then it will be int 32 by default. But 1 can always be is obviously less than 2 power 7 negative 1, or even power 7 negative 8. So that is why we will use, you can convert an integer of this one, of int 64 to int. It has to start with caps int, and then 8, obviously, because I think 8 is acceptable over here. So now we get int 34. Now let's say we assign it to n. Now we will check type of like n. You see we get int 8. So what if we tried converting something like 128? You see we get an error because this number has already exceeded the type the maximum size. The expected maximum size for integer 2 is 2 power 7, which is 7 minus 1, which is 6, is minus 7, and then minus 120, which is 127, 128. So the expected maximum is 127 and negative 128, as you can see over here, negative, and then unsigned maximum is the minus 1, which is 128, and minimum is 0. So guys, that is what I can talk about. Floats are decimal numbers in short, so that is what you need to know about floats. So you can always convert a number of a number like integer 8 of 1.0. You see, it accepts this one because, but if you can check, by default type of 1.0 is float 64. By default 1.0 is 60 is a floating number because it's a decimal number, but you can convert it to an integer. However, you cannot convert a number like this to like this to an integer, because you see it's a floating point number, and this cannot be an integer. Of course, you know, an integer has to be a whole number, and 1.1 is not a whole number. 1.0 is a whole number because 0 is meaningless, as you know. So that is it. I'm trying to clear over here. That is really stupid. So guys, that is floating numbers. So you can check over here again the number of bits maximum. Float starts from 16 all the way to 32 bit, and you have to know the maximum if you have for precision. However, we have other types like Julia has infinity, which is number that you don't know the maximum n, and also have negative infinity. Again, we have all these other numbers. Integer can be from negative all the way to the positive, as you know. Floats again can be from negative all the way to the positive. So if you want to know the maximum size of type over type, you can use type maximum of int 32, for instance. You see, it gives you the maximum number 32 can take, and then what of 8. You see, it gives you the maximum. If you want to know the minimum, then you can do again here minimum. So just in case you want to know the maximum and minimum, so it does not work only on integers. Obviously, you can check for floats again, like float 32, for instance, the maximum and minimum. You see. So guys, 32-bit and 64-bit numbers are always like almost stretching very fast. So that is it, guys. That is about this video. However, we have lots and lots of functions in Julia, and that is what I'm going to take you through about the documentation. I'll leave the link to this documentation. I downloaded it from the pointers show you at the end after I find this. So here are the numbers. Here are functions for in Julia. So rounds a number. Let's say you have like a number like round 1.1. You see, it gives you 1.0. 1.2, it gives you, it rounds. What about number like 6? You see, it rounds either up or down depending on its basic rounding of numbers. This rounding of round, we have floor returns always the lower. Even if it was 1.9, it will always return 1 because no, I'm doing round. It should be floor. So floor returns the lower number, and then sail returns the upper. Truncate, please check all these functions. Division, you see division, this one obviously divide this and this. FLD, floor division, again, you see these are like these functions that it divides, then do the sailing, or the, you see this one gets the remainder, this get the modulus, this get the mod. So check out this function. This is the absolute, this will return the absolute, this one returns the absolute square. You know, if you're doing something like mean squared error or something like that in math. You always want to use something like this instead of you computing then doing that. So guys, these are really helpful functions, and I will leave the link to these functions so that you can check. So, or but I think again you can take a screenshot of these if you need them over there, and again over here, and again over here, so that you can check them. These are really important functions. Check what they do, because I cannot start explaining all of them, but at least you can see it's simple. So guys, for this video, that is everything I can cover. So in the next video, we will be talking about other things like strings, because you see I'm trying to simplify this video and show you the important things. So goodbye guys.